Recently, as I was cleaning the cabinet, I found a whole bag of organic moringa powder that I had only used once and expired. So how I got this at the first place? Well, a few years ago, I read something about moringa which I was not familiar with. Basically, it says there are many health benefits and people add it to their smoothies and it kind of tastes like matcha. I thought, oh, I like matcha, so why not give it a try? Well, it tastes very different than matcha. Nowadays, many manufacturers market green tea powder as matcha, which are not authentic. Anyway, my taste buds really don't like this moringa. It was so bad that I had to throw away my smoothie. So this moringa has been sitting in the cabinet for a few years. When I picked this up again this time, suddenly I remember a technique that I had learned years ago, which I can extract the essence of this moringa into my body without actually putting it in my mouth. So in this video, I will share this technique with you. This method would be very helpful to those who have poor digestion or weakened spleen function that prevents them from digesting and extracting the essence from the food or medicine they take. So I have just added this technique to the Tai Chi Qigong for spleen, stomach and digestion course. If you have purchased this course before, download it again for the updated version. You can also use this technique to detect whether a particular food or herb is actually good for you, rather than blindly follow the latest superfood craze, because every body is different. Just like in traditional medicines, no matter it is Ayurveda or traditional Chinese medicine, they categorize us into 5 or 6 different body types. So some foods or herbs good for person A may be bad for person B because they have opposite body types. One good example is green tea. About a decade ago, there were many new studies which claim green tea is one of the healthiest drinks, and that created a craze about it. Suddenly, everyone goes for green tea. Yes, green tea is high in polyphenols and antioxidants. So from that point of view, it is an excellent drink for health. However, depends on how it is processed. Green tea is cool to cold in energy nature. Thus, it is not suitable for the cold body type person to consume it daily. They should consume more food that is warm in energy nature instead. Of course, a few drinks per week is totally fine, and one can drink more often during the summertime. However, if those with cold body types keep drinking a few cups of green tea per day, for sure, they will notice some imbalance of their health a few years down the road. Another benefit of this technique is when you are sure a herb is good for you, but it tastes really awful, as most Chinese herbal medicines do, then you can extract the essence from the herb by your hands without going through the painful process of tasting it. However, this technique is quite advanced, so not everyone will be able to do it right away. There are a few prerequisites. First, the Neigong gateway of your hands must be opened. There is another YouTube video that I teaches you how to achieve it. Then you must also know how to guide the qi within your body. Finally, the path between your Neigong and your middle dantian should be free of major blockages. Both of my Tai Chi Neigong and Qigong Mode Level 3 courses teach you how to guide Qi accurately within the body. And if there are blockages, the Qigong Mode Level 3 course also teaches you how to clear them. Okay, I assume you have met the prerequisites. And let's say you have some inflammation and you know cayenne pepper is suitable for your body type, which can also help your inflammation. However, it is too spicy for you to consume it. Then you can use this technique. Whatever food or herbs you choose, you can use them as a whole. But when they are in powder form, it will be much easier to extract their essence. And if possible, use freshly ground powder, because the potency of the powder will slowly diminish as time goes by. So you put approximately 1 teaspoon of the powder in a small dish. You'll need 2 of them, 1 for each hand. Place your hands on top of them, maybe a few centimeters to an inch apart, so you're not touching them. Normally, in our Neigong practice, we absorb the qi from our environment through our hands into our body. But this time, when you inhale, you absorb the essence of this powder instead. And this essence travels all the way from both hands through your arms to the middle dantian. And when you exhale, you just relax and feel the effect of this essence. You may not feel anything during the first time, so just keep repeating this. So inhale, absorb the essence of this powder to the middle dantian. Exhale, relax, and see how your middle dantian feels. If this essence is good for you, then you should feel good and comfortable. So you just keep repeating this for at least half an hour until the potency of the herbs or food significantly diminished. If you feel discomfort, then most likely this essence is not suitable for you. So no need to continue. Try something else. Interestingly, my body agrees with my taste buds. Both of them really don't like this moringa. So I will use it as fertilizers for my plants. After the practice, if you like the taste of whatever powder you choose, then you could still consume it. Otherwise, just throw them away. For those who are in more advanced level or who are very sensitive to their bodies, they should be able to feel where the essence naturally flow to from the middle dantian. It may flow to a particular meridian or a specific organ. This is actually how the Chinese doctors from the ancient time find out the nature and medicinal value of different herbs and foods. All famous Chinese doctors from the old times are also Taoists. For sure, they know how to detect the energy nature of different herbs and which meridian the essence of these herbs flow to after consuming them. However, they cannot rely on eating hundreds of different herbs to find out which meridians the essence of those herbs flow to. They would get poisoned or killed pretty fast if they do it this way. So I believe they must be using a similar technique like what I just taught you. Detect by their hands. Some students, when they self-study Chinese herbal medicine, they may get a little bit confused because one book may say, oh, this particular herb go to this meridian, while another book say the same herb go to that meridian. For example, goji berries. Some books say it goes into the liver meridians. Some books say it goes to the kidney meridians. Actually, it really depends on the person who consumes it. Like I said earlier, every body is different. So for some, the essence of goji goes to the liver meridian. For some, it goes into the kidney meridians. It could also go into the lung meridian. That's why I said earlier, for those who have Neigong background or very sensitive to their bodies, they can try to detect where the essence flow to naturally. And when your Neigong level is high enough, you could also guide this essence to where you need it the most. Talking about Neigong, I have been thinking to start teaching it again. If you have subscribed to my newsletter, you know for the past 2.5 years, I've been warning this pandemic will create a lot of long-term health issues. Unfortunately, more and more studies have proven this is really happening. In the newsletters, I have provided many simple Qigong solutions to deal with them. My tens of thousands of students and instructors around the world should have no problem passing on these simple Qigong solutions to those who need them. However, if there are some deeper layer issues, for example, the problems are caused by DNA mutation, then Neigong would be able to deal with the root of the problem. Though I have taught Qigong in person to so many students worldwide, I had only taught Neigong to less than 100. Because in Qigong, you just practice 15 to 20 minutes a day, like 14, you will see some health benefits in a matter of weeks or even days. But in Neigong, if you only practice 15 minutes a day, you will achieve very little, even after spending a few years doing that. The bare minimum in Neigong is an hour of uninterrupted practice. That's why I have only picked the very serious students to teach them Neigong. But now I think many students have become more serious in their practice because of this pandemic. And there is also a need for that. Since Neigong has no physical movements, I could even teach it online easily. Anyway, if you are interested, subscribe to my newsletter. I will give out more details in the near future.